Hey everyone, it's Kandace and Sher with Processing Trauma Out Loud. Sher, before we get started today, I'm going to mention a few things. One, if you're watching on YouTube, it's a little dark for me. I'm actually sitting in a hospital room helping care for a loved one. But because of this great technology that we have, we can still record today. The other thing that I want to mention is it's your birthday. It's your birthday. And I'm so excited to be recording an episode with you on your birthday. I'm also excited about the topic that we're going to start off with in 2025. Are you up for it, friend?
Let's dive in.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, first, I want to say Happy New Year to all of our listeners. It is now 2025. I'm doing a little jingle, and you can join me if you want, but it's 2025 coming alive.
Mhm.
So when we heal, Sher, as you know, there's parts of us that begin to come to life in the way that we were created.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of my theme for this year.
Yeah. Love it.
We're also looking at the theme of what does it mean to be a wild woman? Now, that might scare some of you. I know my first thought of wild, I go back to my teenage girl and I'm like, no, 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 no. I'm trying to move away from that. Michelle, you discovered, especially in this last year, a new understanding of what it means to be a wild woman. And I just want to say, one, I'm joining you. And two, can you share a little bit about how did this come about, wild woman?
Yeah. Well, it's fun to record on my birthday. We weren't necessarily planning this, but I feel like I want to give full disclosure, like it's Monday and we have to have a recording ready for Thursday. So but it's a
Fair enough,
joy.
fair enough.
But it feels like a joy also for me to be here on my birthday because this is a space that I love so much and it just feels right to be here. So I'm grateful to be celebrating in this way. Yeah, I think, and I also had a call with my coach this morning where we literally have wept together for the last hour as we have talked about, we kind of just did some reminiscing a little bit about the journey and what the journey has been like for me and kind of entering this new season where I feel like some of the things that I've been working through, like there have been I feel some breakthroughs. I feel more integration. I feel like my neural pathways in my brain are developing stronger connections. And some of those things that we've been just talking about to where I feel like more able to be fully alive and not as bound to some of the old ways of coping and surviving. And what does it mean to be wild? I'm not really sure yet, but I'm getting little tinglings of that and it feels good. It feels really good.
Mm-hmm. Well, and for our listeners who've heard some of your stories, I want to, for those who haven't, I want to mention that you developed a part growing up from your trauma, the good girl part, right? That part that needed to scan the environment, know the rules, and follow those rules to a T. And so, are you feeling like this new era that you're entering is the healing of that part, or I want to say the unburdening
Mhm.
of that part?
Yeah. That as well as some other parts too, really. It's the unburdening of and that's a big one that I've been that I have become aware of recently and it feels so significant that I have been led so much by doing the right thing and making sure that everybody's okay and kind of, and not, it's not that I don't want to offer good care to people. I do. I want to offer great care, but am integrating more with this part of me that has been distant and that I've even kind of known and sensed that she's here and close, but not able to connect. And we're connecting in some new ways to where the wild, like you said, it's not like being a wild, out of control teenager. It's not that wild. It's more wild, meaning most fully alive in who I am as a human, who I am as a woman, being able to be free to speak when I want to speak, and with care, of course, but maybe with some new boldness and maybe with some new edginess, and to be able to just feel that sense of I'm alive. I'm not as led by fear. I will just say, 2 days ago, I walked alone, pretty deep in nature for the first time in decades, literally. That though I was literally nurtured by nature as a child, I would run to nature to get grounded, to get stability, to get oxytocin. And then when I became an adult, I don't know. I haven't identified why yet, but fear overtook me and I could not go into nature alone. And I just, as I'm reconnecting with my wild self, a couple of days ago, I had this desire. I want to walk alone. And I just felt like I can. And I did. And so that's a picture of what I mean by wild. Something where I would have been stopped by fear. It's like fear wasn't blocking me. And I was able to go with freedom and so tuned into my body and aware of what I was sensing and experiencing as I was deep in nature on that walk. And it was very beautiful.
Wow. I felt that emotion hit me when you said, I did this alone.
Yeah.
And I really have a lot of curiosity around this. I know you're still exploring kind of what's going on, but I'm right there with you to watch this unfold and what this means for you. I think it's interesting because I just joined this group on solo traveling. And I don't know, I have curiosity around, what it means to not live isolated or independent of others, because we have developed these relationships of safety where there's this beautiful interdependence.
Yeah.
But can I do some things alone, like you're talking about, and feel contained, feel safe, feel wise, feel wild?
Yeah.
And so I'm going to be all ears to hear what this is going to do for you.
Yeah, and I'll just mention, because I like your definition there, like to be wise and wild and safe and free. And I think what I hear when you name those things, I think instinct. And this is why we're talking about this, and why Kandace and I have felt like we want to come on right away in 2025. We want to talk bigger about issues that women are facing, like particularly, obviously, women who experience childhood trauma or any trauma, but childhood trauma is kind of our sphere. But when we experience childhood trauma, we had to cut off from our wild, instinctual, free, alive self and go into survival strategies to survive. That's what we believed. And so now, as we are experiencing more connection with these parts of us that we have been cut off from, we actually become more connected to our own instincts, our own ability to be perceptive, our own ability to be discerning, and to have a knowing of, is it okay for me to walk into these woods today? And what is that feeling like in my body as I stand here at the trailhead and decide, am I going or not going? And can I listen to my body and have a knowing of, yeah, I feel able. Now, does that mean there's absolute guarantee that nothing bad will happen? No. Like there's a riskiness to this. But for me, as I stood at the trailhead and I evaluated, I felt like I'm willing to take the risk today. And I felt confident to do that. And so, yeah, that's kind of what we're talking about here.
Yeah, and I just listening to you, I wonder, the list, the women that are listening, like are they, is there any resonance there to even be curious about, am I living in these survival strategies that just feel normal? Do I even know their survival strategies?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I really like what you're saying there. And I'm looking forward to starting this year off with more of these conversations. I hope that women will connect with us and have questions, maybe start coaching. What would it mean to come more alive in 2025?
Yeah. And I want to just name some of those things, Kandace, like, are you in relationships where you feel oppressed and you feel stuck and you can't get free? Are you in relationships where people are surrounding you, or even one or two people are, and you know that they are cheering for you? Are your young parts and by that we mean the little girl, the 7-year-old you, or the 9 or the 15 who keeps showing up and running your life? Are they running your life? Because those parts of you are still in survival and you don't really know how to do life free from, boy, when I'm in this particular situation, I feel like I'm 7 years old, or I'm reacting the way I did when I was 13. And these are some of the signs that we're not free, that our wild self has not been able to come forward. And you and I we've walked a million miles down this trail and we're still on it. We're still on it, but we have come through a lot and we know we're tasting the goodness of this kind of integration now within our own selves, where there is more freedom and aliveness. And we just know like this is something we want to be talking about.
Yeah, I was thinking about, I know when I first started my coaching journey, the one-on-one coaching journey with Patria, I showed up with her like so confident in certain ways about what I thought I knew. And I mean, one good question, and I would be like,
Yeah.
wait a minute. Like, I've never even considered that there could be another way of looking at something.
Yeah.
And this is what the therapeutic relationship can look like when you have no other reason to believe a certain way, even if that way is not for your well-being,
Yeah.
right? Especially if it's not.
Mm-hmm.
And so to have someone just ask a loving, kind, gentle question that gets you out of that very survival strategy place, it is really life-changing.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we have said so many times on the podcast, we don't know what we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
We can't fix what, even when we know there's something that is stuck or a place of struggle, like if we don't know how to heal it or how to move past it, we don't know. And we can't do it on our own, and we need people. And so, yeah, to have a
But we need
coach.
people with deep understanding and deep compassion, right? To where our bodies literally soak in. And those scary at first because we won't trust it most likely for a while. But it's a kindness that leads us to transformation.
Yeah. And
And
Yeah. And I will say, even like this whole thing of me becoming more wild and connecting with my wild self, I absolutely would not be able to do this if I did not have wild women in my life. I
I'm so
have
glad you're one of those.
I have women who are pretty established in their wild, and I have women who are finding their wild. And I know, like, because I've been looking for this and wanting to connect to this for years and years, and like now I'm seeing some things, some of the some of the fruit of my long hard labor that is feeling like it's just at a place where I'm seeing things happen that just feel so good.
Cher,
Yeah.
welcome to your wild, beautiful self.
Yeah.
On your
Thank you.
birthday,
Yeah.
I see you're glowing. Like if somebody happens to tune into YouTube, I see it, I feel it. And I'm so honored, like so honored to be on this journey with you.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank
And
you.
yeah, and just want to encourage our listeners, if this seems foreign to you or something in you, you feel this spark kind of light up going, what the heck are they even talking about? But I'm drawn. Reach out. We're here.
Yeah. And keep listening, because this is where we want to go in this 2025. Like, we are going to talk about some of these topics, and yes, we invite you, and ask your friends. We would love to have more listeners and more subscribers and more people who are engaging with us. As we talked about last week, we're going to be doing some Facebook Lives where we can open it up to questions and conversations, and just some ways that we want to serve the people in our sphere, because the freedom that we are experiencing and the aliveness that we are experiencing and the wild that we are experiencing, we want for the
Mhm.
whole world.
Yeah.
And yes,
Thank you, friend. Good conversation. I hope and pray your birthday is just filled with so much goodness and love, and just remind you of the gift you are to this world.
thank you. Thank you so much, Kandace. I love you, and I'm glad you're on this journey with me.
Love you too.